We can launch into anybody's questions. I can also pull up the Google group with latest questions that I had seen.
Yeah, I noticed there were a few there. I didn't have a chance to read them.
Yeah, we could always demo them going through the instructions that I had shared with a couple of those. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that since I'm not seeing any hands coming up. I remember there were two questions, one about the member portal, which we have seen. Um, the new buttons being on the home page. If you haven't done this already, as far as like editing your home page and either turning these buttons on or off, you may get the error message that Linda was referring to in her question to the Google group. In my demo sites, I already have them set up, but in case you're getting that error, you would come down to the advanced settings and scroll down to member portal buttons. And again, if you're getting that error, it would be because the on or off button aren't yet selected. So if you're not ready to set any of those up, just quickly turn them all off, and then you can save from then on out. If you wanted to set it up, we have, in the description, it gives you a pretty good idea of what each of the three options does. The first one being a new button in your sidebar, and that's where the title and the URL have to be filled in. Um, the membership button in the sidebar, again, would be a new button in your sidebar, but specifically for LWV member portal. And then this last one is just for the purple and gold sites. It does require to fill out the title and URL, and it would change actually just the URL for this one. It would change the destination of your join button up in your header, and that again is just the purple and gold sites have the donate and join button up in the top right of their header. So just demoing where those are, and then the other one was a question about the slideshow. Um, I won't actually go through all of the instructions on that one, but we know that the slideshow is made up of several different slideshow items. Um, the ability to reorder them does heavily rely on the editing the creation date, so essentially updating the date as to when they were added on MyLO. Um, that is what helps you ultimately decide the order. The easier way to do that is to use sticky, and you can make things stick to the top of your slideshow list. And let's go through manage content to show you where you can at least make it sticky, and you can unpublish as well. So if you make items sticky, then that's giving them a priority at the top of your slideshow list. If you unpublish, then you're just taking them out from display, but they are still there if you needed to pop them back in afterwards. Sandy.
Hi. Um,
Hello.
when I read that email question,
Mhm.
I think the question was taking the entire slideshow off the homepage.
Ah, okay.
That's how I read the question.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
so,
Well, yeah, great question. Since it's made up of all this several different slideshow items, once you unpublish or delete all of those slideshow items and you don't have any published public slideshow items, then they wouldn't, you would, your page, your home page would essentially slide up. So that
ah,
space that the slideshow was taking up would just essentially disappear. And so your page title would appear higher up the page.
okay,
Did you want to see what that looks like? I can
sure.
demo that
Get
with the,
away, can you put it back?
yeah, so let's do that. I'm going to narrow my list of content down so that I'm only going to see the ones that are published. it's very easy, to go in and publish them. Obviously, once we unpublish them, it'll be harder to distinguish this list from the other unpublished slideshow items that I might have. So if you needed to jot down a list of these items to republish them later, that might be helpful. But if it doesn't matter, then we just go straight to unpublish and then go from there. So let's first look at what that looks like. Whoops, which site was I working with?
Do you have to refresh your page?
I just wasn't sure what site I'm working
Ah.
on.
Hmm.
That's funky. Let's try that again. Okay, so I am on. Oop. Okay, let's try that again. So we unpublish and execute. It's saying there are only 6 items. Let's try that again. There we go. I think I might have not selected the right option the first time. But so we unpublished all of those. It goes up, and then now let's just test it with one. The slideshow only starts moving once you have a second item. So you can also have a static item image on your front page as well. So publish, or yeah, publish just one. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, so as long as you unpublish it or even make it private, because there isn't a place on the members only page where a slideshow pops up. So you can either make it private or unpublish it, and that will keep it in the back end for you as a webmaster, um, but it won't show up.
Yeah, the first time he did it, I think he had selected web. He didn't have slideshow selected.
Ah, okay, thanks. Yeah, so that's probably why I had so many more because I didn't have that many slideshow items. Okay, Mary Jo.
So when you were talking about making them sticky, can you make more than one sticky? I
Yeah.
mean, I know they are because okay, so I guess I didn't realize that. I was just always happy that the next most important one still stayed. So it never became unsticky.
Right. That's
Yeah.
it doesn't
Okay.
automatically unstick. Yeah, you do have
Yeah.
to
Okay.
do that
Thanks. I
manually.
guess I hadn't thought about that. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing with sticky, aside from that, is it makes a new priority list at the top once you add more than one item. So the creation date is the ultimate decider of the
Yeah.
order. That also applies to items that are made sticky. So it's almost like it's a sticky list on top of the slideshow list. And same as, action alerts list, the events list, all those different lists that we see within the MyLO site, sticky is there as a function, and it will make, that new top priority list of items if you make more than one sticky.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Well, I know there was another question because it was something I had
Oh,
issue with.
yeah.
Remember about the phone, the picture from
Um,
the phone?
oh, yes, yes, I did forget about that one. Yeah. Um, that one is unfortunately, I think becoming maybe not more common, but because we're, getting more advanced with the picture technology that we have, there's a lot more behind the scenes data that we don't really get to see or have easy access to. So the easiest way that we've figured, and I was sad to see Susan had responded to me privately, but said that she still had trouble even after the recommendation of rotating the image a complete 360 degrees. I don't have my email open. She was able to figure it out, but I cannot recall. I think she might have had to rotate it a couple more times. No, she did say, I'm remembering now. She opened up a program on her desktop or her computer, and it was an image editing program. So that might be helpful if anybody. And my recommendation was to turn the picture on your phone. Um, and if anybody isn't aware of the original issue, um, what happens sometimes with images taken on a mobile phone in portrait mode, when you upload them to MyLO, they rotate 90 degrees,
Um,
and it's not because of something that you have done. And each time that you see it on the computer, it looks upright and fine, but uploaded to MyLO, it does that turn. So the recommendation was to, prior to uploading, edit the image within your, photo program, and rotate it all the way around 360 degrees, whether it's counterclockwise or clockwise. And that has worked in the past when we've seen that happen with different users. Since she mentioned it didn't work for her that way, and she said that she used a program on her computer, so something like Snip or Paint, anything that you might have where you're able to edit an image, even like the photos on my Windows here, I just would be able to edit it right from viewing it. Um, that would be a way to try and rotate it from there. So it's a little bit funky. It does not happen, I guess, as often as I would imagine. We don't see it all too often as far as a question coming up as much. But yeah, that is the funky solution that we have figured out for that one.
Workaround.
Yeah, there you go. We love a workaround.
Yeah,
yeah, I think I've had to do it with our newsletter too, Constant Contact. But I think the first time was with you, and then you were able to tell me.
Yeah, it's funny because yeah, the fact that you might encounter it in other places, it's nice that you have like, oh, this is a thing for in your back pocket for MyLO, but helps you in other places. There also was a question of Google Analytics. Um, and so I will soon be planning another session on that. We'll, review how to set that up. The original question was about if a reinstallation of Google Analytics was required, and it really all depended on um, what the current situation was. For this person in particular, they did actually still have access, but if anybody is in the boat where they have not set up analytics at all, um, we'll talk about that and just kind of how you can navigate it. I'm not the best on recommending what kind of reports you might want to build, but
Mhm.
you'll, better be able to see what's available by us just going over what data they already provide before even having to create new reports. Did anybody have any questions?
Mary,
Anna,
Yeah.
Mary,
I heard Mary
uh,
and then Liz. I'll make a list here. Go for it, Mary.
um, I put a video on our website
Mhm.
for people to see how to register under the new method and join. And I just linked it to the video, and I saw you in one of those several help sessions you had for us show how to embed it. And I thought, oh, that looks too hard. So I didn't do it, but I would like to do it that way.
It's
Yeah.
kind of hard.
Yeah, not hard at all. Yeah, it can sound intimidating, but it's just having to switch over to, the right side of the HTML, and it shouldn't be too hard. But I can go ahead and demo it on your site if you'd like.
That would be great.
So if
I'm just going to tell Mary, this is Mary Jo, that I have done it. So don't be afraid because she said HTML.
there you
No,
go.
no,
That's the
no,
line
I like
we have to put.
HTML. I like HTML, but I didn't take notes.
No
And
worries.
I went back to try and find it. I replayed the video and I couldn't find it.
Mary, is your username your first and last name? Or
Yes, Mary Hughes.
is it this one ending with the AH?
No, it's just my name, I think, with a space.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was assuming no space. All right. That is more like it. Okay,
If
so
you,
what
if
page?
you click on join, and then on this page, click on join, it's just purple. Yeah. And the video is right on that page.
Okay. Okay. So let's first open up the video link because this is where we're going to gather the embed code from. And so this will be true for any Vimeo video if you happen to have others that you are sharing. On the video page, you click on the little paper airplane, the share button. And then from here, click over to embed. And I think we had customized last time. That is totally up to you. I think it helps you to keep the aspect ratio. So if you change the width or you change the height, it matches the. Let's just do it without the customize though. So let's just copy because if you don't customize, I believe it'll just be full page. So it's up to you if you want to change that up. So come back over here. All right. So the only thing that we do need to do is use the HTML. I would recommend we rearrange some stuff a little bit. So I'm going to add
Okay.
one of each here. I want to isolate essentially the embed code in its own paragraph box. So this will be for the embed code. And I'm going to add one more for everything that you have that displays under video. So all of this.
So you
Okay.
highlighted it all and then,
Um, well, as far as highlight, well, I will be highlighting it so that I can, cut and paste it down here. I do need to save real quick so that I can see the WYSIWYG toolbar. Just a quick draft save. All right, now let me jump back into that, and I should have, um, both of those boxes. Yeah, there we go. Okay,
Yeah,
so
and the reason she didn't cut and paste is because she's already got the embed code um, ready to paste. And if she cuts and pastes, then she loses the embed code.
yes, you are in my mind.
Yeah. Well, see, as I've done that a couple times, it's like, oh, I know
Right.
why she did this.
I just had
But
it,
it's
I
but
just
it's
had it
not
holding.
intuitive. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, once I've dropped that off, now I can go ahead and we'll get rid of that video button in just a second. But I'm going to copy or highlight all of this. And instead of copying, I'm going to cut so that it's gone from there. And we're instead going to have it down here. And the good thing from MyLO to MyLO, it holds the formatting, so we don't have to worry about reformatting any of that. And then last little bit, get rid of that button. There might be a little space there, but that's fine. And then we'll still save as draft so that we can double check everything before publishing. All right. So that's what I meant about full screen. It is the entire width. Um, if you wanted to play around with customizing, again, you come back to the paper airplane, then you would click customize. Um, what I think we played around with in the last one of the last sessions was like cutting this in half or cutting this, dividing it by four. Um, but again, if you change it to whatever width, the height is changing along with it and vice versa. Maddie.
I think Liz was next, right?
Oh yes, sorry. You're
Yeah.
adding for a new question.
Yes.
Oh,
And
can
Okay.
I just comment on the old question?
Yeah.
What we're talking about?
Yeah.
So this is different than when I did it, and maybe it's I don't know, maybe things have changed somehow, but I just when I was at the video, I just right clicked and I got the embed code. I highlighted that, and then there was just some line. I don't I think it was third party or whatever it was. And I clicked it in there, and that was it.
Yeah, it does depend on the platform. You might
Okay.
be that might have been a YouTube video. I think there's a little bit less clicking. So let's just no, I just want to pause you. There we go. Okay. Just want to use an example. There we go. So there's the share button here under a YouTube video as
Yeah,
well.
see, I've never seen those. I just like
Right click.
right clicked.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't realize that option's there. That's even easier. You don't even have to
Yeah.
click on the
Yeah.
share button for YouTube videos.
Nice.
Right
Yeah.
click the video and copy embed code. I guess the only or the benefit if you wanted to copy embed code that started at a specific time in the video, that's where
Right.
the share button does offer that. Um, so if we go here, there's a start at button and you can adjust the time from there.
And then when I went under MyLO, I just remember it was just I forget where it was. It was either the third party or some other line, and it was it. That was it.
Yeah, the you might have been working with the same the paragraph box that we dropped in once this loads. Oops. So this one.
Might have been.
Um,
Yeah, could have. I don't
yeah,
remember.
you don't have to switch it because
Oh,
it's
it says
already
body
set to
with
full
him.
HTML.
Okay.
So it
I
might have
didn't have
been,
any of that other junk, I don't think. I think I just put wherever it was just the, copy and paste it and it just stuck it in. I didn't do anything else.
yeah, Vimeo is a little bit different since you have to click
Okay.
a couple of things through.
Okay. And just Jennifer's listening to this, I know, because she was uncomfortable. And I did do that for a while. We don't do it anymore because she was uncomfortable because she thought people would be able to edit it. Am I saying that right, Jennifer? Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Do you think, Amaris?
It would be able to edit. I'm not sure what.
Like if we had, say, the typical thing would be a forum, candidate forum.
Mhm.
And, people could go in there maybe somehow and
Take snippets.
take snippets of
That
it.
and that I think that's just the fact that you've made a video public, there's always that chance that somebody could even record it off of a different device. So no matter where you're uploading it to, that is always a chance. But there isn't a way for them to go into your YouTube video and and edit that so that it's changed for everyone that comes to that YouTube video. That's not possible unless they have access.
Right. So it's only possible when we publish it on our page, when we publish the actual YouTube video. When it's loaded on YouTube, it doesn't get changed. But if we put the file on our on MyLO, it can get changed for everybody.
As an embedded, you mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So,
Thank you. Thank you
yes.
for translating.
I'm sorry. I was like sitting
What is
trying to
she?
contemplate, but I definitely get what you're saying now. Yeah, so as Milo webmasters, we have an ability essentially to, when it comes to files, to replace them. Obviously, we make it known and to our users that this ability is there, and that although you have that ability for other content items that you did not upload, reserve that for your own specific uh, files because the action cannot be undone. There isn't a tracking of what the previous file was. So I think that's what you're referring to, Jennifer, as far as the file possibly being able to be changed.
Someone from the public could go in to MyLO and take a snippet or change some, download it or change something. And
Well,
we've lost
technically the
control.
video could always be downloaded. From YouTube, it's not as easy to directly download it to your device, but there's
Right,
always websites that'll like help you do that. Um, so I think, yeah, if folks were looking to do something malicious with content, they're gonna find their way to do it.
right.
Um,
But this is just one, for those who are not that good, not malicious. How's that?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And
but
I would always recommend YouTube to be where you would, upload your videos to. It's better to have them there than to have them in our Milo media library because usually if folks, I can't recall exactly what the viewing experience is, but I believe it downloads it to the device because I don't believe we have a media player unless the person's browser does, then that's possibility without having to download the file. But it's just not the smoothest viewing experience. And I think YouTube is good because folks can get to it without having to have an app or an account. So
well, not to
yeah.
kill this issue, but or keep it going. So so what I have done on a few things, if it was a calendar item, and I had it on the calendar, and now it's over, but there was a recording of it. So what I've been doing is going into calendar and editing the item, and then put recording, and this is a recording of the of whatever happened. It was a Zoom thing.
Mhm.
So so those have been mostly what I've been doing lately. But what my question was more that what's the difference between just copy and pasting the URL from the video and putting it like I just described in the calendar event, as opposed to embedding it somewhere. There was something about the embedding that I thought Jennifer was saying was more dangerous than just copying and pasting the URL. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, there isn't a different there isn't a danger posed regardless if you use either or. The video is still and always housed within YouTube. It's that's just where it resides. So the difference as far as the viewer, if you drop a link to the video versus embedding, they visit your page, and if they see the embedded video, all they have to do is click play and they get to see the video within the same page. The link will either open a new tab or will send them to YouTube immediately. So there's, obvious difference there. It is usually smoother to embed it for the
Oh,
user.
I think it's more fun. That's why I liked it, because it was more attractive.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for them to just be able to see it right then and there, not have to deal
Uh,
with,
but
a
you
new
don't.
tab being opened or something.
So, in your opinion, there's no difference in terms of security.
Correct. The video remains at youtube.com regardless
Yeah,
of embedding
I
or the
understand what you're
URL.
saying now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sorry
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
monopolize.
Okay, Liz, go for your question.
Well, before my question, I'll say that we just had a candidates forum where the one of the candidates took every answer that he made and it and made a whole new video where they'd have the question and his answer. And we in the letter where they accept to be in the forum, we say they only can use it if they have written permission from us. But that didn't stop him. But once he was told he wasn't allowed to do it, he took it off. So I'm not even sure he did it. It might have been one of his
Staff or something.
people. So my question
Wow.
isn't a really detailed one,
Yeah.
but I've been the webmaster for the Wheaton League for 25 years, and
Wow.
I, I've come to the point where I can't sit at a computer so long. And so, how do I get a replacement? Nobody ever wants to take over this job. Does anybody have any suggestions to make? I mean, I say to the people, well, this this will be good for your CV, you know, that you
Right.
learn to, a new skill, you know, but it, there are some, and I am worried that there are a lot. I was a web developer before I became the league's, or actually, I was doing both of them. So there are little tricks, you know, where you have to, if you're doing something, you have to put it in HTML and then you have to keep it in HTML because otherwise it'll get messed up when you go to WYSIWYG. There are a lot of little tricks that are going to be hard for somebody who's taking over. I mean, does anybody have any advice?
Yeah, that both pieces of that question are a difficult one. I always like to think that it's probably similar to how you're thinking. Like, it's good for your CV. It's a good thing for, college students, I would think. But in reality, I know it becomes a little harder to try and draw folks in. Um, yeah, when it comes to the little tips and tricks, those are a little harder to, we unfortunately don't have a documentation that goes into that, but we do have an FAQ, so maybe I'll, do better and add some more of those things that have been popping up in our sessions. Things like where I just used, adding a new formatted text box, and then I had to save before coming back to it and being able to work in the WYSIWYG toolbar. So I will add that for homework to myself, adding some more helpful tips to the FAQ. But as far as that, the questions that they might have, they may need to just heavily rely on documentation and our sessions and really any help I can provide outside of that in the beginning. Um, but hopefully it would hopefully not be a huge undertaking as far as them having to learn a whole new thing. It will come in steps as they need.
Well, I see three hands. Does anybody have something
Yeah,
relevant?
everybody in the order
Wait
that
a
you
minute,
see
mine.
each other.
I'm
Oh,
answering Liz for just a second. So, Liz, I've been less than a year, but what I'm doing is when I took this over, I was definitely told, and you will train someone else. Unfortunately, I haven't found that someone else yet. But what I'm doing is I'm just keeping a little note, running notes for myself and for the next person of when I do something. Because what I find is while there's great documentation of most of the things on MyLO, there's more documentation that it's really needed for our website. So what I'm doing is I'm just keeping a note about, in our league we did this and this is how I did it. And if you don't like that, then here's what you need to do, kind of thing. So maybe that would help you. I just number from one to whatever. So I think I'm up to 100 and something now, little tips for
Maybe
my
I can take
successor.
yours. Maybe you would like to give me yours.
There you go. Yeah, if we want to jump to Judy and then Deborah and then Maddie and then Mary Jo, just go in the order. Is that okay? Or I'm sorry,
yeah,
Maddie, did
my
you have a?
for some reason my hand keeps going down. I'm not sure if it's something I'm doing or if it's like a timing thing. Because I still have the same question. And maybe other people should talk before me, but when we were talking about the embedding of the video, it reminded me that
I think it was last time we talked about calendars.
Hmm.
And I went and I looked at my calendar and I realized that it was showing up with the date and then the event underneath the date, which made it really like you hardly saw any events because I had it in the
Oh, because it was so
agenda
long.
form. Yeah,
Hmm.
instead of the grid, it was see. Well, and it was not even what it turned out was that was just the format it was using. So I changed my embed code and then it stretched out. But now on the phone, it doesn't contract. So we don't have to talk about that. You know, if someone else still has comments about what was just talked about.
Yeah, I'll
Uh,
save it for what we'll move to next.
okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. So we can if you have any tips or what you're doing for yourself to share with Liz, go for it. Mary Jo and then Judy.
Okay, well, we are not training anybody, but not that we shouldn't. But what I
Wait a
was
minute.
what I wanted to say was, before we got MyLO, we had, another uh, website, and we always had to depend on somebody else to do it. And so what attracted me and others to MyLO was really, sort of the simplicity of it. And what I wanted to say was, you mentioned HTML and all that, and like I kind of said before, the minute Omri starts talking about HTML, I zoom out. And I've been able, Jennifer does the really technical stuff like PayPal and that kind of stuff. But in terms of content, and that's what you want to keep up, that's easy peasy, as Jennifer would say. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, it ain't that difficult. And, these sessions help. And once it's set up, and I know that, well, it's already set up, so that change that. But, and, I don't know. I know that National, in terms of for their chapter spot stuff, is looking for people to be sort of, a go-to person. I don't know if
Not anymore.
anybody on here would volunteer to work with anybody. I don't know. It wouldn't be me, but because,
Yeah,
yeah,
They're done. I mean,
I'm done. Okay.
No,
no,
no.
sorry. Well, yeah. I, since I had my hand up a
Yeah.
long time, um, Mary Jo, they found 60 volunteers, so nobody else has to volunteer to help with the chapter spot.
Oh,
Um, so what I wanted to say is how I found my replacement. You notice my replacement's not online. Um, that's ongoing. I've been the webmaster since I created the first web page for our league, and I have no background whatsoever. So I've been doing it for umpteen years. But what we do have is a membership interest form. And when people say they're interested in communications, I talk to them. I did have two people last year, year before, whatever. And one lady said, "Oh, I did say that." And I said, "Well, thank you for volunteering because I really do need you." And she went ahead and helped
Oh,
until
good.
her husband passed away suddenly. So she may be back. But the other one was a high school girl. She's um, I showed her how to log on and then she did it, you know, told her how to find the instructions. She read them. So, you can find people, but you really do. It's continual. And of course, the high school girl went off to college. She still does it though from college. She's actually keeping up what she said she'd do. So you have to keep asking, but use a membership interest form and then approach the people yourself and say, I can help you get started. What can I help you with? Or I really appreciate your help because, you know, if people volunteer, ask them because it's not so fun when you volunteer and nobody ever asks you to do something. But, I'm one of these days, any minute now, I'm going to die. We all are
Hope not.
eventually. But you honestly, we need people, we need more than one person to know how to do this. And right now, our league has 3 people who can do it.
Oh, great.
And if I should take the bus and go somewhere, there will be somebody else to take over. But it's been hard. So
Well,
keep,
I also in this
Thank you,
is
Judy.
they were thinking of trying to get a volunteer from outside the league, but I've always been on the board. There's so much to know about what's going on that
Yeah.
somebody from outside you would spend as much time telling them what they need to do as doing it yourself.
Right.
Jump in, Deborah.
So that's a good question. Because so I'm on the board right now and have been on the board as long as I've been doing the website, but I am getting ready to go off of the board, but I have said that I would continue to do the website. And so Liz, you kind of point out the problem that I've been thinking about is, so how do you get the information for the website if you're not on the board? Are all of you on the board, or do you have another mechanism?
I'm on the board.
I'm on the board.
Joe's on the board.
I attend the meetings. I'm not on the board.
Oh, okay.
We encourage anyone to come to the meetings.
Yeah, so do
Members.
we.
I'm not on the board. I'm the immediate past president. And then when I stopped doing that, I took over as webmaster. But Deborah, I have to tell you, I mean, as the months go by, it's harder and harder because, as you say, some things you don't know about
Yeah.
until somebody tells you. So usually when I find out is when somebody gripes because the website doesn't have anything about X topic. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and the problem is that I don't want to go to the meetings because I'm afraid then that you once you go to the meetings, then you start getting sucked back in to right. That's not a very nice thing to say, but that's like what I'm concerned with. All right,
But
thank
thank
you.
you all for your suggestions. I'll take into account all that you suggested. Also, I was thinking there could be one person who just puts the events on the calendar. And, you could break it up into different functions within the website. Because if
Yeah.
you learn to put an event up, it's not a big deal. Or an article, that's more content management.
And yeah, and at the end of the day, you have more people that have the ability to do more around the website. Yes, if they're just dedicated to one section like the calendar, they may not know exactly how to maneuver the homepage, but they'll have the experience that it'll probably be easier for them than somebody else that just is on the board but not touch the website. I also wanted to offer, Liz, because I've offered this to other leagues, if you do have folks you are onboarding and some uh, one-on-one or individual training for them would be helpful, I can always offer up, a session or two to get them started. And we can always record those for them so that they have something to refer back to. Um,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
because if they're handed this entire website and expected to be able to put up an event and change this on the homepage and, add users and all that, it's daunting. So I would hope that some training at the start would help them feel not so overwhelmed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
That's what happened to me.
I'm sorry, Sandy. I wish I would have
But
let
that's
your league
okay.
know.
I mean, I just, I joined these calls and then I just looked at the documentation. I think I remember the one time that I deleted a whole like section, a page, and I was, I had this panic and I sent you an email and you had some way of figuring out how to get it back in but
It happens, and
it
it
happens
is
and
almost kind of like a rite of passage that you
yeah,
have that
so
that panic moment. But it's all fixable.
It is all fixable, and I recruited somebody. Now she didn't come to today's meeting. I was surprised, but she had some experience previously doing websites. But I think a selling tool. Well, I've tried to sell it. It's an opportunity to get creative if you're a creative person. If you can do so much. I mean, it seems like you can't because there's this framework, but you can really get creative, and as you learn more and more, and once you do some things and you get the feedback from your league, oh, I saw that looked really cool. It just energizes you. You're like, oh, thanks. So
Yeah.
what I used to do when I did attend board meetings is I would take the board through all the updates and things that I had moved around and redesigned things. And it just got them to be more familiar with the site,
Yeah.
to make sure because I'm not on the board anymore and I don't attend the meetings, but they now know that they should send me stuff if they want things on the website. And I don't know, it's worked out.
Yeah, that's great because yeah, it really you yourself gave visibility to your work,
Mhm,
where it's easy to just not notice that because
mhm,
from their perspective on the outside, they're just seeing the website. But you're like, no, it's all these several million different things that
right.
put it together.
Right.
Um, awesome. And then it makes them appreciate your work and realize, oh, we have to like actually be explicit in what we want
Mhm,
to request to be
mhm,
on there.
mhm.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. Go for it, Mary Jo.
So, I don't really know how it works, but I know um, two organizations, and it isn't our league, um, that have been using AI for their minutes. And this one woman, I don't think these meetings are Zoomed. I don't know how she did it. I don't know.
You
Does
can
anybody?
summarize. You can set it up to summarize your meeting.
Mhm.
And I've had Zooms with other people, and we get the summary, but some of them are freaked out about it. They,
Well, all I know is that I'm on the board of our neighborhood association, and Nancy sent me I know what it was. So she's a representative for a broader group in the city. Anyway, she sent me the minutes so that I would know what was going on and whatever. And I just wrote her back and said, "Oh my God, these are such good minutes." She goes, "It was all AI, Mary Jo." So I don't know if that's something we want to explore, but what I'm saying is if you got the AI, you didn't have to be there. You knew what happened. And so, if somebody talks about an event coming up, well then and they hopefully there's a person that's talking about it. Oh, that's the person that's going to give me a flyer or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just throwing that out.
well,
Yeah.
but there's a concern about where is this information going? Do you want it to be secure? Maybe you don't want a summary up there in the cloud that somebody might find. I mean, I don't know how privacy is involved.
Well, I just don't even know the mechanics of how it works. And like I said, I know two organizations that do it. And I said, wow.
Yeah, but we don't even publish our minutes. We publish our minutes privately, members only.
Mm.
We don't open them up to the public.
And are you? I mean, are we opening them up to the public? Where are
And
they
I
going?
and
With
I'm not
AI, yeah, I think we are.
and I'm not even saying that the AI produced minutes. I mean, we Zoom right now, so our secretary, I mean, she's got the whole record right there. Jennifer set it up for us, and so a person could do that if they're Zooming, but if it's a regular in person, maybe this AI thing that doesn't have to be the minutes, but it could be a record for somebody that wants to know everything that happened. Because the minutes to me are a more formal thing, motions, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I was just throwing it out.
Well,
Yeah, but
it's
for me, I'm concerned about, oh, wait, paranoid much. I'm concerned about the privacy.
Yeah, but if we're
I don't know what
recording
you're talking about.
Zooms,
It's just
that's
people
out there
talking.
too,
Mhm.
I don't.
you
Yeah.
know.
But I get what where Mary Jo is coming from because
Mhm.
folks were saying that, they may not want to attend the board meetings, but then that's such an opportunity to know what is going on that the AI note taking would be, one particular solution.
Yeah, I get
But I
that too.
totally also get the points about privacy too.
Right.
So prickly pear there.
Yeah, I kind of think, I don't know, in a lot of ways, privacy is, it's kind of gone because everything that we're doing over the internet, everything we're recording on Zoom, all our emails, all our texts, they're all out there, even if, some of it's
Yeah.
encrypted, uh, there's ways around that. So it's like, I think sometimes that our expectation can't be what it used to be.
Yeah.
We just, we have to keep that in mind when we're doing things.
Yeah. Definitely get that. We are
Yeah,
in a different age of technology. So yes,
right.
that is for sure.
Yep. So, shall we talk about my calendar?
Yeah, let's jump to that.
Okay. So, if you click under calendar where it says meeting calendar,
Okay.
um, so I have this set up for I guess it's the schedule, format.
Hmm.
And after we talked last time, I went and I looked at it. And what I realized was that it was taking for every event the date and then another line for the event, which meant you got like 3 events on here, which was ridiculous.
Gotcha.
And I didn't think it was like that when I first put it in there.
Okay.
So I decided to redo the embed code, and it came up with this. And really, the only difference was that in the HTML, the height, no, not the height, the width. I originally had it set to 100%, which would then make the width variable. Uh, and in the new embed code that I generated, it was
Hmm.
800 was the default. And that gave me this, which I liked
Gotcha.
better. So, so I went ahead and I just changed the width to 800. So now it looks, it's one line per event, and then the date is in front of it. But now, yeah, if you go look at it on the phone, um,
It goes past.
yeah, it's like you have to turn it sideways, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's I would have liked it to have gone to that other mode on the phone
Gotcha.
because, and so I just was wondering, is there a way to generate this calendar embed code so that depending on the width, it decides whether or not to put everything on one line or to start everything with the date in front of it, which is kind of, I think, what we're looking at now.
Yeah, I think having it because I have it sideways, it's doing that. Or actually, I think
That's
you have
interesting.
it
So, because it wasn't
working
doing
that
that on
way.
my phone, I don't think.
I
Hmm.
think since you've changed have you tested on your phone after you changed the width?
Yeah, yeah, because I changed the width last month. And let's see, let me turn this sideways. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see this. Probably not.
Probably be difficult. But it goes to 2 lines for you or?
No, it doesn't go to 2 lines on
Oh, I
mine.
see what you're saying.
Yeah. See, because this
It
is how I would,
remains with the date on
yeah,
the left, the time in the middle, and then the event name on the right.
exactly. And I would like it to be, with the date on the left and the time in the middle, if it's wide enough, but if you turn it sideways, if it gets narrower, that it goes to what we're seeing here, which is exactly what I wanted it to do, only it doesn't do that on my phone.
Gotcha.
Because here,
Um,
even if you do it vertically, it would still be more legible, right?
yeah, it
Yeah.
like separates
Yeah.
them by day.
Right.
Um,
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
So it works
I'm
on
not
your
sure.
phone and not on mine.
But
Huh.
it could be it. This is also kind of similar to WYSIWYG. Like it's this inspect is doing its best to show
Mm-hmm.
you what it'll look like on a phone. But I wonder it might look the same on my phone as what you see.
And
But
it might
as
even depend on whether it's Android or iPhone or, I mean, who knows what
that
differences,
right,
which browser you're using on your phone.
right. Um,
Because
as
this is what I wanted it to do, what you're showing now. And I was going to ask, is there a way to do that? Clearly.
there has to be. I'm just not sure
Yeah.
how. You've obviously figured out more than I know because you were able to change it up to look, closer to what you were expecting. The the responsiveness on the phone, and that means, the embed code would adjust to the device's screen size.
Mhm.
Um, that responsiveness comes with using the percentages rather than the pixels. So
Yeah.
that's where the I guess problem is. It's either sticking with percentages to keep it responsive for any device that comes across it, or using the pixels as you are now, and maybe having a little note for mobile users, like, better experience if you turn your phone sideways or something like that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Because I was expecting the 100% to, and what it did was it just narrowed it down, which was fun, which was great. But then it always, even on my computer, on my laptop, it still put the date and then with the event under it. I'm making hand signals here.
Gotcha. Like how
But
we just
yeah,
saw
so there
here.
was at least two lines for every single date. And in most cases, there's only one event per date. So it took up twice as much real estate.
Gotcha.
On the phone, it doesn't matter because you're just scrolling. But on your regular screen, you know, it,
Yeah.
it's it's different.
Hmm.
You can scroll on your regular screen, right?
Yeah, you can with you can, but with the phone, it's a lot more seamless. Here, it's within the little box.
Gotcha.
Yeah, might not be as intuitive, right?
Right, exactly.
In this.
And
Um,
if it keeps everything on one line, you get twice as many things, so you get like a week's worth of events and without having to scroll, basically.
What happens when you make it like weekly?
Well, if you click on where it says
every day
schedule,
or
no,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
there you go.
no, okay, it's
Then
calendar view.
it's really unusable. And if you do the month, then it's
even more.
everything's really short because this is how I used to have it, but because you could only see like the first word of the event, I
Hmm.
thought it'd be nicer to have the list.
Yeah.
But
But then
can't you click on it?
you
Click on the
can
It
you
does
can
Yeah,
pop up.
so
pops
it's
up.
like, but I have it come as a default to one or the other. Originally it was defaulting to this, but like I said, I always try to put the most important word first. Like, you can see there where it says volunteer. It's like it's important for our members to know this is a volunteer opportunity more than it is to know exactly what it is. If they're interested in volunteering, they can look.
Right.
So there's definitely multiple ways of doing this, but I like having the list or what they call the schedule. But if it takes up too much, like if I could only get like three events in this whole box, whereas with the calendar one, you get the whole month.
Right.
uh, it seems like you're giving up kind of too much information. It's like not enough information, but in a different way, right? with the monthly, it's not long enough on the event that you know what it is. And with
Right.
this, you've only got 4 events showing, and that's kind of useless too.
I, the only thing that I can think of that could possibly work is if you reduced the aspect ratio. So that I think you said right now the width is 800. I don't know if you have a height set. Um, I
I
guess it
don't
wouldn't,
have a height.
I
No.
guess it would just be reducing the width. That is a possibility. Again, it's hard to determine what might be a good width. You don't want it to be too small on desktop. But obviously different screens, might still overspill. Um, but maybe play around with like 600 or see if it's too small, then I think your 800 with possibly a note for mobile users would probably be best. But yeah, see if any smaller width is manageable. You said that
Yeah.
it was not until 800 that you saw this separate in one line each,
Well,
or
I did 800 because that was the default width.
gotcha.
And it looks fine here. I
Hmm.
mean, it just has the dot, dot, dot if it goes beyond the end, but you get to see a lot more of what it's about.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, so
the,
going
the, the
smaller might
prop,
not be harder and causing the same issue as the monthly,
exactly.
right? The monthly
Right.
calendar.
So, I mean, the question was about, um, at what point, I guess, does it put the date on a separate line with everything else underneath it, or have it all on one line and then just have additional events for that same date on separate lines?
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not sure. I would imagine these sections have a specific like minimum width to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know if there's an easy way to
Yeah.
figure that out.
Well, and the shocking thing is that, when you showed it, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. You know,
When we were looking at the mobile
yeah, when
version
you were
here.
exactly. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Um, but if you were curious about the spaces here, you can inspect it, and then I enabled, what is this tool called? Select an element in the page to inspect it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the little arrow, and then once you hover over these different pieces, you can see it's 134 by 32, and then there's some padding in there. Each little element has its own
Okay.
container that it's in. So if you did want to add those up to see what the max, or I guess the minimum width you could work with
Mhm.
without them jumping to that, 2 lines, that's one way. But it might be easier to just plug in different numbers, because that's a lot of
You'll just futz around with it.
yeah.
And maybe it's something that Google knows. Maybe there's,
Maybe there's some tips.
sources that I can find. But
Right.
I didn't know if this was something that, you had any experience with, or that anybody else here might have had some experience with.
Yeah, if anybody else might know, feel free to chime in. I just myself, I'm not too experienced with the Google Calendar and tweaking the embed.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
was so
Maddie,
thrilled. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
would just say what was in the same thing that's in the chat. When I look at this on my phone and I turn it sideways,
Hmm.
I think it looks perfect. I don't see,
Okay.
I mean,
So maybe it's just my phone.
well, or again, I mean, I have to turn it sideways, but to me, that
Oh,
doesn't
right.
do
Yeah.
that on on other things. And I love it that when you click on the item, you get the pop-up screen that tells you. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think
Maybe
it
I
looks
should just leave it, huh? Leave well enough alone.
well, it looks good to me for what that's worth.
Well, thank you. Good.
Yeah,
It's, feedback is nice, because it's just it wasn't what I expected it to do, and so
right.
that's why I tend to be a perfectionist. I can't help it.
I think many of us could understand
Yeah,
you on that. Don't worry.
yeah.
But yeah, it
So
does look great. And the fact that, phone
you can
users
turn
should,
it sideways.
right. And if they're on their phone already, they should probably already have that intuitively. Like, the moment that they see it cut off, they're probably already turning it to the side.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I'll probably just leave it because I think it's definitely better to have everything on one line than have the date always on a separate line. I don't think that works well um, on the computer at all.
Yeah.
On the
And
phone,
probably
it's yeah.
even less, right? Or you get
Right.
to see less on the phone.
But the thing about having it on a separate line on the phone is the length is much longer and the width is much narrower. So you can still you just keep scrolling, for all the other events. Whereas on the computer, it's less intuitive.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Not
right.
impossible,
So,
but less intuitive. Okay, well, thank you.
yeah,
Good discussion.
thanks for that question.
Mhm.
Well, I appreciate it because I'm trying to convince Mary Jo that we need to put a calendar so that board members can add stuff in the members only.
Right. And then if they can get into Google Calendar, then
Right.
and put it on there, it'll automatically show up on the website.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, I don't understand what you just said because we have one. You did one.
I know, but I haven't, it's just you and me right now because I'm waiting to hear who I should send it, which you're going to talk about at the board meeting.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant technically. Okay.
Oh, technically it means it's just you and me, but we need other people to add stuff. And I don't know who.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we talked
But I
about last meeting.
appreciate, yeah, I appreciate because I rarely look at my phone. I'm always on the computer, so I appreciate Deborah's comments.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think many members of ours go into the members only and then to look at the calendar on their phone. But it's possible.
Including board members
Oh,
who need
yeah.
to.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's the good thing too, to know, like, you already have a good sense of your users' behaviors on the website. So it's like you don't have to worry about certain things because you kind of only almost know 100% of the users that are coming to this page or coming to it via this way, or it's good.
Yeah. And I know this is verboten, but with this a league portal, I mean, we have maybe 3 people who have actually gone in and updated their information.
Well, did regular members get the invitation yet? I have no idea.
I don't think so.
So it would only be our board member. Well, it would be a few board
If-
members,
Yeah.
I think.
But
So
even with sending it out, I sent out an email. I have actually sent out a couple emails to all members telling them, hey, go in, update
oh,
your new portal. And we have had, I mean, just a handful, and only, I don't know, maybe a quarter of our board members that have
Wow,
gone in.
that's a lot. I think we have two, Mary Jo and me. Oh, and Alice, Alicia.
our
Three.
press.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll see some
Encourage
more.
people.
Yeah.
Our members are doing it on their own. We've encouraged them to explore it. And we have a team who will go help people if they need it. But
nice.
right now we're just kind of holding back. But we have several members who've done it on their own. Yeah.
Good.
They need to keep working on some of the bugs before they send the invitations.
Yes, ma'am. So
Definitely
I'm
get
sorry for that commercial break.
that. No worries. I am glad though to see that they created that group of, you know, Is it like that they're helping them test things, or they're going to be kind of advisors?
That's what the
I don't
advisor
know.
thing, what I heard, I
They'll go
thought.
out and they'll actually work directly with the local leagues. I
Oh,
mean,
awesome.
on the computer, I'm sure, but um, I got an invitation to do that. So
Oh,
Well, I'll see you there on Friday then.
no,
Great.
I'm not going to do it, but I did get the invitation to do it. So
Well, I
Um,
I,
did because I'm kind of,
you
oh
know
wait, don't
more.
we say miffed?
You're smarter than I am.
No,
You
I'm
know what
miffed.
you're doing.
No, I'm miffed. I'm cranky, but not mean. I am not mean.
one of my coworkers actually had applied but missed, I guess, the influx of all the applicants. But she is going to be actually doing a webinar to share whatever tips she has learned in Chapter
Oh,
Spot.
nice.
It's technically, from the California League, but it's Chapter Spot. So if anybody wants the information, I can find it and share it with you guys. Just shoot me an email if you're interested.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that
Ooh,
is happening. That I think she said that she's doing that next week, next Thursday.
Hmm.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think any tips we can get,
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I feel like,
any scores, any tips.
uh-huh.
Yay.
Yeah, even if you're
Our
not even
treasurer,
dealing with it right now, you're probably
yeah,
like, I'll take it.
yeah. Our treasurer volunteered to help with Stripe because there's some leagues that are really struggling with that.
Oh, nice.
But they had a lot of people who volunteered for that, so they didn't need her help. But yeah, so it's nice to know that there are a lot of people out there willing to take the time and help others,
Right.
Mhm.
and
Well,
that
and I
they
think
ask
it's
for
Love to
the
hear
help.
it.
important. I think it's
Exactly.
important that the realization is there that we're not a bunch of computer, well, maybe Anne-Marie says, but we're not
No.
a bunch of computer nerds. Well, maybe.
I think
But I mean,
Mike is.
Right. I think
yeah,
he can qualify.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's like there's all of these changes, and each
New
one is a
systems and
challenge. Yeah.
hmm
Well, I have to say thank you to all of you because my local league's impressed with what I've done, but what I did was copy into what you told me to do, and it all worked out well. And I thank you all for the help because
Awesome.
on
That's
my own,
great.
I don't know, I wouldn't have done it, but thanks to all of you, I did. So
Great.
and that's true.
Love
Just
to hear it.
looking, I love it when Amaris has to go on to, well, like Ventura County, and we get,
A
a,
glimpse into
a
their
look at what
website, right?
other leagues are doing. And I even made a note to maybe go back and kind of look at it. Like I
me
was
too.
wondering what league publications, I mean, I wonder what league publications would be
Let's take a
for
look.
the public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we can always do that with each other's
Oh,
leagues. I mean,
perfect.
you can, I mean, I
of
do
course,
that,
of
but
course.
you know,
But it's nice to see the back end too, how you actually
yeah,
physically did it.
hmm And there's so many different ways to do similar things. Like I think
Right.
I've seen I think it might be Mike's site, but it might be the same idea of sharing the league's links. You can also stuff them into the sidebar. However you want to share the information, it really is like how Sandy was saying, it gives you the ability to have that creativity, not just with creating graphics and things, really how you want things organized too.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, the league has put out a lot of statements in the last couple of months. And, we were all kind of frustrated about all the things we couldn't talk about before. And then now that all those statements are coming out, our board kind of wanted those things on our website. So
Yeah.
I put them at the top of our front page and I just, snagged the headline off the national and made that a link to the national
Oh, awesome.
public
Good idea.
release on
Yeah.
my homepage. Yeah. So it's not super pretty, but it's right there.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, I
Oh,
see. Yeah, because then it also gives them a quick look at the press release
At
title.
what it's about. Yeah, and the thing is, it's like the whole advocacy thing. We're always tiptoeing on eggshells about, not being partisan and not advocating because we're a 501(c)(3) and all of
Hmm.
that. And, and being able to just say, okay, well, the National League is saying this.
Right.
So I guess it's approved.
so stay on that page because actually that thing about the save the dates for the economic boycott, that
Oh,
came
yeah.
up at I think it came up at a board meeting, and I was trying to find something. I know that it was at the tag of the thing about the March 4th rallies,
Mhm.
but I never saw it separate. So I don't know if
Like
you just
the
took that.
picture separated out like that.
Yeah, and then did you actually find something on the league website
Well,
to
my
do that?
one of the people on the board had found something. I think it's from San Diego or Anaheim or one of those more Southern California leagues. And she sent me the the picture of the save the dates and then the letter that they had written, but it had their letterhead on it and all of that, and it had a lot more detail. And so I couldn't just post those things. So I went and I did a search and I found a better version because the save the date she sent me had a watermark in it,
Mm.
which you kind of don't want to do that. And so I found this one and it had something else on there. So I kind of just took that out so that it was more generic. And then I paraphrased what was in the letter without all the detail and just put that right next to it. And, it's like if people want to know more about it, they can go there. And I don't remember if I linked anything to that, save the dates. I don't think I did actually.
No, I'm not seeing anything
Yeah.
clickable.
Yeah, but see, so the imprimatur is that your state uh did that because I was looking for something from national to
Yeah.
sort of give us
Yeah,
permission.
this was from state, actually.
Yeah, so
It was being promoted, though, at the state level, right, Amaris?
We did
yeah.
promote the February 28th. I haven't seen information like this though. So yeah, I'm not sure uh if national I would assume that they came out with details like this, but I don't know if there was an official letter tied to it. I think it might have just been a social media post if
I
I
Well,
haven't
saw
seen
one.
anything like that.
No.
the only thing
Uh-uh.
I've seen, like I said, was at the end when if you were on the conference call about the was it March 4th, when the Save Democracy rallies,
Hmm.
Hmm.
that was tagged, and it wasn't even a nice looking one like that, but like somebody, and it might have been I don't know, was it not Eventbrite, but the act of whatever that group is that was taking the reservations and stuff. Maybe it was tagged on to that information,
Hmm.
more widely, of course, than the league. I don't know. I don't know. But that did come up for conversation.
Yeah.
We have not put anything up.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Great.
our board decided it was something we wanted to put on there, so I put it on there.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just ask technically, so how did you just copy and paste and you've got like how did you do the two columns? That's
Oh, there,
table.
actually, those are pictures. Those are JPEGs. Because
Oh,
I snagged the headline off of the actual press release
yeah.
on the US website, and I just took a picture of it. And so each one of these is a picture of their headline. So I have two pictures on the one line and two pictures on the second line. And then I just put links on those pictures that go to the US
Okay.
website.
Nice.
Okay. And that's something more.
It's very basic and
Yeah, no, yeah,
unsophisticated.
yeah. But you mentioned the links, and that's I've been doing that with some of the slideshow things. It's so
Mhm.
easy to do. To put a link for more
Right,
information.
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of the internet, right? You don't have to put everything on your page. You can put the links to more information and just have the important eye-catching part.
Right. Yeah, not having to recreate that stuff always.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's always great to take time and show off sites. Like you guys said, it's you get to just see something different, but we get to give you a chance to brag about your league site too.
Yeah, and you can see I just recently added that committees
Yeah.
piece in the menu because what we want is for our committees to be able to show off their work. And so this is kind of basic. There's not a lot of information in there yet, but so each committee gets their own page, and then community outreach actually gets 2 pages because she also gets the thing about the electoral college.
Okay.
So you know,
Oh, it looks like committees right now is not leading to the committees page. It's just
right.
re Okay, that's
Because
intentional.
there is no committees page, and I
Gotcha.
wanted it to just be a heading. I think we had a conversation about that. I just wanted it to be a heading,
Gotcha.
and
Yes.
so I basically made it just link back to the homepage.
Okay, gotcha.
But all the other ones below it, they actually go to a page, and so this
Awesome.
one you can see is really basic. And these are the same committees that do reports in the voter. So sometimes I'll just go into the voter and, you know, put stuff in here. If I know about it, then I'll put it in. But, I would like for them to be able to update their own pages, but I don't think it's a good idea to give them all webmaster access.
Gotcha.
So I've just asked them to send me this stuff. But sometimes I'll, like I said, I just uh, take it out of the voter or stuff that they've sent me.
Hmm.
Well,
Awesome.
that is such a great marketing thing because I know that's what I look for if I hear about a new organization. I say, well, what are they up to? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
easy to
Because,
see.
you have the voter, but that's really old school. That used to be a, printed thing you put in an envelope and mail to your members once a month because that's the way we did things back 50 years ago. But now we can put all that information right there on our website.
Well, I
Yeah.
meant for the outsider. I meant for non-member.
Oh, right. Well, and this is all available. Yeah. I'm not sure if we send our voters to our friends. I don't think so. I think those do only go to our members. Right. That's true.
Yeah.
But none of it's secret.
Right.
None of it's not available to the public.
Since you're using committees, I just wanted to go over really quick the committee content type. Um, Definitely not, you don't have to use it, but just to show off
Oh, I never, that's
what.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't use that because it didn't really work for the way I wanted to do the committees. But
Gotcha.
I remember you were talking about it, I think, while I was on my way south in the car. And I'm going, committee pages. I'll use that. But
You
it
did
has
go
a
ahead and
it has a
test it out.
yeah, I mean it has a different purpose than what I was trying to do. I just wanted to
Okay,
give
gotcha.
every committee a platform for whatever information they wanted to publish.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes total sense. Yeah. The If you're just looking to present like what is this committee about and who are the important people, then a page is the way to go. The committee content type is if you're trying to, let's say there are articles or events that are related to this committee.
Right.
Then this is where you are able to present, the information about the committee, who are the important people. Whoops, I don't have anything related to it. Let's see if I publish it, will I have something? Well, let's go through it. So right now I just have the information about the committee and who are the important people. But let's go through, need to actually find my calendar. Sorry, I don't have it in my menu. So if I can find an event. let's see, probably should have gone for an article.
Mhm.
Let's do that actually. Sorry. Whoops. There we go. Articles. Wow, I don't have anything posted on this page. Um, let's try this page instead. So obviously I wanted to try it with an event or an article, but my sample site is very bare as far as the published stuff. But this being a page, I can still relate it to a committee. So I've scrolled down quite a ways while editing the page, and I can, let's see, example committee is what it's called. So you find your committee. I usually like to narrow it down by the league name, but if you know the exact name and it's not overlapping with another committee, you can search it by that. And once you relate a content item to a committee, let me go back to the committee. Once we reload, we should see that page listed. Yeah, so
Nice.
any post, so that's
Oh,
events, pages, articles, action alerts, anything that would be related to this committee in any way, as long as you relate it, then it starts its own list of content under this committee. So that's really the biggest difference. The page obviously is just a simple present the information that you put directly on the page, but the committee allows you to relate other content types to that committee page.
Maurice, if so, you could have that public or private, right?
Yeah, the committees have the ability to be made public or private.
So, like, if so, we like the Voter Service Committee, they have a monthly, report, and theoretically, we could uh, create a committee, the Voter Service Committee,
Hmm.
and post their report there for the members only.
Yeah, yeah, as long as you make those, um, if you're having those as separate articles down here, you want to make sure you have them as private as well, and then
Yeah,
relate them to that committee. And they
yeah.
would show up here always.
Huh. Thank you.
Yeah.
And could you make it so that those reports weren't really accessible anywhere else? That you would write the report and relate it, and then the only way to get to it is to go to the committee page and find it at the bottom? I mean, would that be a way to use it?
Technically, no. So that is a
Okay.
very good question because the members only content here,
Mhm.
um, well, yes and no, I think is probably the answer because depending on what you have that you're only wanting to see on that committee's list, if it's articles and you've made them private and you only want them on that committee's list, then they will not show up on members only content. There are two lists.
Oh,
Yeah, here are the two lists. So on members only, we have the upcoming members only events, which are any private upcoming events. I don't have any right now. And then the members only content is, I believe, just pages. I don't believe articles show up here, but
Hmm.
typically the members only content, well, both of these lists you do not have control over. No, don't show this
no.
one here. So if it is made private, and it's still published, then it would technically be reachable from the members only page as well. Yeah. Yeah. So a little extra we weren't expecting and didn't really need for
Good
the
to
original
know.
question, but there we go. That's what
Yeah.
these sessions usually consist of.
Mhm. Learn things we didn't know we needed to know.
Exactly. I'll have to make an acronym for that, and like how we have what you see is what you get with WYSIWYG.
Right. Good.
All right. Well, I think we have
Thank you.
stuffed our brains sufficiently
Yes.
for today's session.
Thank you.
Thank you as always. We'll see each other in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that will be the 17th at noon
Okay.
Pacific. Thanks,
Oh,
everybody.
this was
All
great.
right. Thank
you
you,
so
guys.
Happy hands-off rally day.
Yes.
Yeah. We're all going to be out there, right?
There you go. Yes. Happy protesting. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye,
Happy
everyone.
weekend.
Bye. Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank